You've had enough. The app has been sitting on your phone for months. You don't use it anymore. You press and hold. The icon starts to shake. You tap delete. Gone. Clean. You feel it, that small satisfaction of clearing something out. One less thing. You move on. Here's what most people assume just happened. The app is gone. The data is gone. Your account, your history, your photos, your location, deleted. You opted out. You left. But here's what actually happened. You deleted the app. The app didn't delete you. So if deleting the app doesn't delete your data, where exactly did it go? Who still has it? The answer starts with something most people never consider: what the app actually is. Every app you've ever installed is actually two things. There's the part that lives on your phone, the code, the cache, the locally stored files, and there's the part that lives on someone else's computer, a server, somewhere. When you delete the app, you deleted the first half. The server's copy is untouched. It was never yours to delete. So what actually gets removed when you tap delete? Your operating system instructs the file system to purge the app sandbox, the code, the cached images, the locally stored preferences. On most modern phones, that purge is thorough. The partition is wiped and marked as available. That data is gone from your device, but your device was never the only place it lived. But if the phone side data is gone, what about everything you ever did inside the app? The moment you created an account, your name, your email, your phone number, the app transmitted that data to its own servers. That data was written to databases the company controls, on hardware they own, or rent from Amazon, Google, or Microsoft. Deleting the app issues no instruction to those servers. None. Think about that. You tap delete, your phone confirms it, and the company's servers receive nothing, no notification, no flag, no deletion request. The servers don't know you're gone. To them, you're just quiet. Your account sits there, intact, indexed, queryable, waiting for you to come back. But wait, doesn't the operating system have to communicate with the app's servers when you delete it? Doesn't Apple or Google send some kind of signal? No. The delete is a local instruction. iOS and Android purge the sandbox on your device. They issue no outbound network call to the app's servers. The developer is never notified. The silence is total. Okay, so the server copy survives. But what if the company decides later to clean house? What if they delete your account from their database on their end? Here's the problem. The company doesn't just store your data once. They back it up, continuously, across multiple data centers, sometimes on multiple continents. Your data isn't in one place. It's in dozens. And backups don't inherit your delete. They inherit your data as it was at the moment the backup was taken. Weekly snapshots, monthly archives, disaster recovery copies sitting on tape drives. Even if a company deletes your account from their live database today, the backup from last Tuesday still has you in it. Deletion from the live system doesn't reach back in time. This is called the snapshot problem, and it's why data retention is so much harder to undo than data collection. Collecting your data took a second. Every backup since then added another copy. The company may want to comply. The infrastructure makes it genuinely difficult. Your past selves are distributed across storage systems in ways that can't always be traced or purged completely. But here's the part most people never think about. The company's own servers are only the first layer, because most apps aren't built from scratch. Developers drop in pre-built tools called SDKs, software development kits, to handle specific functions. Analytics, crash reporting, push notifications, in-app payments, each one handled by a third-party company. And each one was transmitting your data somewhere you've never heard of. When you open the app, a typical mid-sized social app might have loaded 10 to 20 SDKs simultaneously. Firebase, Amplitude, Braze, Segment, AppsFlyer. Companies whose names you've never seen. Running silently inside an app whose name you did know. Each one routing data to their own servers in real time. Your delete reached none of them. But what exactly were these SDKs collecting? Your device model, your operating system version, which version of the app you were running, how long you spent on each screen, which buttons you tapped, when you opened the app, when you closed it. A precise behavioral map transmitted to third-party servers every single session you ever had. Okay, so the app company has your data, the SDK companies have your data. Who else? Underneath the SDKs, the ad networks. When you use the app, Your behavioral data was being continuously transmitted to advertising infrastructure. Google, Meta, and a constellation of smaller brokers, all of them logging, all of them building your interests, your demographics, your inferred income, your purchase intent signals, all of it packaged into an advertising profile. That profile doesn't live in the app, it lives in the ad network's own databases. And here's the critical thing. That profile was never stored by the app. The app was just a contributor. Deleting the app removes one contributor. The profile itself continues without it. But how do the ad networks connect all this data back to you specifically? If the apps aren't sharing data with each other, how does one profile ever get built across all of them? Every phone has a unique string assigned to it called an advertising identifier. On iPhone, it's the IDFA. On Android, it's the GAID. Every app that runs an ad SDK reports against that same identifier. The apps never talk to each other, but they all talk to the same ad networks, and every report carries the same identifier, which means the ad network can correlate everything, every app, every session, every behavioral signal, stitched together under one identifier into a single profile. That identifier is the thread that runs through your entire app history. One delete doesn't cut it. It just stops adding new stitches to that one app's contribution. Now here's the part that surprises most people. Before you ever deleted the app, the company may have already sold your data while you were still a user. Data brokers are companies whose entire business model is purchasing behavioral data from apps and repackaging it for resale. When you accepted the terms of service, buried in a document nobody reads, you likely agreed to this. That transaction is already complete. The sale happened before you ever thought about leaving. The company will tell you the data was anonymized, your name removed, your email hashed, just behavioral patterns, nothing personally identifiable. But a 2019 study showed that combining just 15 anonymized data points, location visits, purchase categories, time patterns, was enough to re-identify a specific individual with 80% accuracy. Anonymization is a starting point. It is not a guarantee. So, is there any law that actually forces companies to delete your data? In Europe, there is. The GDPR gives citizens the right to erasure, also called the right to be forgotten. Under GDPR, you can formally request that a company delete all data they hold on you, not just your account, all of it. The company has 30 days to comply. But does that 30-day deletion obligation reach the backups? Does it reach the disaster recovery archives? Not entirely. The GDPR contains specific carve-outs for backup data. Companies are generally not required to immediately purge your data from existing backups. The backup may sit in cold storage for months before it's overwritten by the normal rotation cycle. What the law does require, that backup data is never restored into live systems. The company cannot pull your deleted record back from archive and reactivate it, but the backup continues to exist. The law caught up to the intent. It hasn't fully caught up to the infrastructure. In the United States, what are your rights? California has the CCPA, similar deletion rights, similar timeframes, a meaningful step. But at the federal level, there is no single comprehensive data privacy law covering all Americans. If you're not in California, your rights vary by state, by company policy, and by what you agreed to in that terms of service you didn't read. Let's say you do everything right. You find the deletion request form. You submit it formally. What actually happens on the company side? Your request lands in a compliance queue. Automated tooling and human review. First step, they validate your identity. Confirm the account belongs to you before touching anything. Once validated, the system triggers deletion jobs across their infrastructure. The account is deactivated. The user record is flagged. A cascade of database queries begins purging your data table by table. This can touch dozens of internal systems, logs, associated records, linked data. It takes time, and it doesn't happen in one clean sweep. It propagates across their architecture the same way your data was originally written into it. Most companies don't delete immediately, even after the request is accepted. They enter a grace period, typically 30 days. Your account is deactivated, but the data is retained. Officially, time to change your mind. In practice, if a transaction is disputed in the next 30 days, the company needs your data to investigate it. The grace period protects them as much as it protects you. After 30 days, the company deletes their copy. But what about the third-party SDKs, the ad networks, the data brokers who purchased your data 6 months ago? The GDPR requires companies to communicate deletion requests downstream, notify third parties they shared your data with. But the company can send the instruction. They cannot guarantee it was executed. And what about brokers the company never directly shared with? Brokers who purchased your data from another broker? The chain of custody gets long quickly. There is no central registry of data brokers, no public list of who has your profile. Tracking them all down means submitting individual requests to potentially hundreds of companies, most of whom you've never heard of. It is not a one-time action. It is ongoing maintenance. So what does deleted actually mean when a company says it? Legally, your data was removed from their live active systems within the required time frame. Technically, the primary database records were purged, the account was deactivated, and a downstream notification was dispatched. That is the full extent of the legal obligation. What it does not mean that every backup was immediately scrubbed, that every third-party SDK received and honored the notification, that every data broker destroyed their copy. Deleted is a legal status. It is not a physical state. The word means something precise and limited. It does not mean what most people think it means. And the advertising profile tied to your device identifier, the one built across your entire app history, was never the app's to delete in the first place. Deleting the app removes one contributor to that profile. It doesn't reach back and erase the history already written. The profile is still there, still active, still shaping the ads you see across every other app on your phone. Is there anything you can actually do about the advertising profile? There is a partial fix. On iPhone, Settings, Privacy Tracking, you can reset your advertising identifier. On Android, Google Settings, you can reset the GAID. A brand new identifier is generated. The old profile, years of behavioral data, is now orphaned. The ad networks still have it, but it's no longer connected to your current device. You've broken the thread, not erased the history, broken the thread. This is why the icon matters so much. It's visible, it's yours, you can delete it. And that sense of control, that small satisfying tap, is real. Your phone genuinely purged that local data, but the icon was never the whole app. It was the handle, the part you could touch, the server copy, the SDK data, the ad profile, the broker records. None of them ever had a handle. You were never given one. The next time you delete an app, you're not undoing a relationship. You're ending future contributions to one. The history is already written. The icon was always the smallest part of the app. It was the door. And closing the door doesn't change what's on the other side. There are 35 more moments just like this one. Things you do every day with no idea what's actually happening underneath. Actually, every week.